So, hello there, and welcome back to another Night of the Movies video. I'm, of course, Spike Knight, and in these videos, I love talking about things, movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's video, I'm reviewing Project Hail Mary. So, let's get into it, shall we? Project Hail Mary is this new film starring Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling, who you might know as Ken from the Barbie film, but I also know from the likes of Lars and the Real Girl. He was in Crazy Stupid Love. He was in First Man, another film which is set largely, another space movie, should I say. And my favourite performance of his was probably in La La Land. I'm a La La Land fan, and I thought he was brilliant in that film. And I think this is his first film since he played Ken in Barbie. I might be incorrect there, but I think that is the case. So yes, this is the new Ryan Gosling movie, and it is directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who are the duo behind the Spider-Verse films. They're heavily involved in the animated Spider-Verse movies. I think they're produced on the film and writers, if I'm not mistaken. And they're also well-accomplished directors as well. They made the Lego Movie, which is far better than it had any right to be. They made Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which is a wonderful film, and they also made the critically acclaimed movies, the critically acclaimed 21 Jump Street films, which I haven't seen, but I know a lot of people love. And this is their newest film, and this film, Project Hail Mary, is also has a screenplay written by Drew Goddard, who also wrote the screenplay for The Martian, the Ridley Scott directed and Matt Damon starring film, which this film from the trailers looks like it was evoking a lot. Yes, I'm a big fan of The Martian, so when I saw that this film had a similar sort of feel to The Martian in its trailers, I was very interested in seeing it. And actually, it was one of my most anticipated movies for this year, which isn't saying much, because actually I've not been excited for that many movies this year, but still, I think it was like number 5 or number 4 on my 5 most anticipated movies of 2026. So I was looking forward to it quite a bit, particularly because of all the buzz surrounding it. The film is based on a book, and surprise, surprise, I haven't read the book that this film is based on, but a lot of people who have read the book say it's one of the greatest books, one of the greatest sci-fi books, you know, and they talk about how great the audiobook as well. I think the audiobook for the book that this one is based on, should I say, the audiobook won prizes itself, it won awards. So yes, a lot of people love the book, and I heard all this buzz from film pundits I follow online who have read the book talking about how excited they were for this movie. And the movie, I think, first screened about a month ago now to certain people in the industry, and it got so much love just like that at its first screening. People were buzzing about it like bees around honey, you know what I mean? People are going crazy for this film, and that did get me more excited about seeing it, but also got me a little worried. Sometimes when people rave about a movie to the point that it becomes almost ridiculous, I get a little worried, as I don't think the film is going to live up to the expectations which have been set out for me. You know, that's happened quite a few times with certain movies, most notably that kind of happened with Dune 2 for me. I went to go and see Dune 2 in the cinema, thinking it was going to be like one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time, and it wasn't for me, personally. And I was worried that was going to be the case again with this movie, the way people hyping up, the way people talking about it. I was worried that I was going to go into Project Hail Mary and be disappointed because people were making it out as if it was like the greatest film of the past 10 years. So yes, I was worried but excited. I had a weird feeling going into the cinema yesterday to watch this film. But I did go to watch it at the earliest screening I found, which tells you how interested I was in the movie. The trailers worked to me. I'd heard great things about it from people who read the book. I'd heard great things about the story, and I heard great things about the film itself since it had screened from people and critics alike that I follow online. So yes, I was looking forward to the film, but I was a bit worried. I was cautiously optimistic. Still, I went to go and see the film yesterday in the cinema, and the Google plot synopsis of this film goes as follows. Science teacher Ryland Grace, played by Ryan Gosling in this film, wakes upon a spaceship with no recollection of who he is or how he got there. As his memory slowly returns, he soon discovers he must solve the riddle behind a mysterious substance that's causing the sun to die out. As details of the mission unravel, he calls on his scientific training and sheer ingenuity, but he may not have to do it alone. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about the film before seeing it. And honestly, I thought this film was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. I had a grin on my face watching this movie from about the 10-minute mark to the very end. The first 10 minutes I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm totally connecting with this. But then after those first 10 minutes, something just clicked for me with this film, and I couldn't believe how much I was into it. You know, sometimes you go to the cinema, every now and then, you know, you go to the cinema, or you just watch a film from the comfort of your own home, and it makes your day like 10 times better. It fills you with so much joy, and it also breaks your heart, and you get so into it, get so emotionally engaged in what's going on, even if you don't totally understand everything. And that's exactly what happened with this film. I didn't totally understand all the science stuff, because I'm not a science boy myself. You know, I failed science GCSE. I didn't fail it badly, but I did fail it nonetheless. So I'm not a science person in the slightest. But I could not believe how much I was into this film and how much I was enjoying it. I really didn't expect to. I was hoping I would enjoy it. I was hoping it would live up to the expectations that, you know, had been set out for me by all these people buzzing surrounding this movie, talking about how much they love it, with all the hype surrounding this film. But I was also worried that it wasn't going to live up to my expectations. And the funny thing is, it did. This is one of the few times where I've heard all this great buzz surrounding a film, and you know, I've gone into the film and it's actually lived up to my expectations. Usually it doesn't happen, particularly with sci-fi films. But it worked. This time, no, yeah, the expectations did. The film met my expectations. It met my high expectations. And I sat there and I smiled. My heart was breaking in some moments. My heart was soaring in other moments. And I laughed along with the film. Not at every joke. There's a lot of comedy in this film and some of it falls flat. But I'd say most of the comedy works, and I was so into it, you know what I mean? I was into the story, I was into the narrative. Again, I didn't totally understand everything, but that didn't matter. You know, I read the Google plot synopsis there, and the funny thing is, what I read in the Google plot synopsis about how our main character, Ryland Grace, played by Ryan Gosling, has to figure out about this mysterious, he has to try and figure out what this mysterious substance is that is destroying the sun. You know, the film's not really about that. The film is really about the relationship between Ryan Gosling's character, Grace, and this alien called Rocky, who's called Rocky because he's shaped like a rock, you know. That's not a spoiler, by the way. The alien has been revealed in the trailers of this film, but the trailers haven't really shown how amazing that relationship is in this film, because that's really what the film is about, without going into spoilers. It's about the relationship between Ryan Gosling's character, Grace, and this alien called Rocky. And again, not going into spoilers, but the way that relationship is done in the film, the way it's executed, the way that bond is showed in the movie is so beautifully done and so heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. It's just such a joy to watch those two characters on screen, the way they interact, and the way, I mean, just thinking about it now, it's just, it makes me smile just thinking about that relationship in the film alone. It is done so perfectly, that relationship, you know what I mean? And that's what the film really depends on at the end of the day. If that relationship didn't work, then I don't think the rest of the film would work. But it works so damn well, and the thing is, again, without going into spoilers, we don't really get to see the alien, at least it felt like it, until about the hour mark in the movie, and yet the first hour still kept me on my feet. It still kept me intrigued. I wanted to see where everything was going, and that's another thing about the movie. I kept thinking, oh, I bet the film's going to end here, I bet the film's going to end like this, I bet this moment is going to be like this in about 10 minutes time. I kept thinking I knew what was going to happen in the film, it's the point I'm making, but I didn't. I could not guess how this film was going to end. And I love that about it, by the way. I love that about it. I came out the cinema with a huge grin on my face because of the way the film ended. I was like, oh, that's the perfect ending for the film. I thought you were going to end it a different way, But you didn't, and I love that they didn't. There's so much to admire about this film, whether it's Ryan Gosling's performance. I think this is probably his best performance in quite a while, probably since La La Land, which was 2016, so 10 years ago now. Yes, I'm correct there. I think I'm correct there. La La Land was 2016. Anyway, he was nominated for an Oscar for playing Ken. I think he should be nominated again. Not that the Oscars matter too much, but I think he should be nominated again for playing Grace in this film. Ryan Gosling, he's got this awkward sensibility about him in this film, but he's also kind of lovable at the same time. He kind of can't get enough of his character. His performance is enduring, and I mean that in the best way possible. Yes, I thought Ryan Gosling was perfect in this film. Just the perfect lead. Also, I thought the film was magnificently produced. It is directed, as I've already said, by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who have been in the industry for a while now, and you can tell that this film is directed by experienced directors who really wanted to do this story justice. Again, I haven't read the source material, but I imagine this film is doing the source material justice. You know what I mean? Sometimes you watch a film when you haven't read the source material, and this kind of happens with me in Lord of the Rings. I haven't read the Lord of the Rings books, but whenever I watch a Lord of the Rings film, I feel like Peter Jackson is doing the story justice. I feel like it's close to the source material, and I felt that was the case again here. I felt like they really wanted to do the story justice, and also they were throwing everything into their directing. They were pouring everything into this film. That's what it felt like that when I was coming off the screen. The way it's directed, the way it's shot, I mean, it's quite something. And the film cinematography is done by Greg Fraser, who also did the cinematography for the Dune films. He did the cinematography for the Batman. He also did the cinematography for Lion and The Creator. And whilst I don't love all of those movies, one thing you cannot argue against those films is that they are badly shot, because they're just not. The cinematography for the Dune movies, for the Batman, for Lion, and for The Creator is all astounding. You know what I mean? You look at the cinematography in those films, and it's like that cinematography should be studied, and that is once again the case here. When you look at the cinematography in, almost forgot the name of the film there, Project Hail Mary, it's like, wow, just the way he frames everything, the way everything looks, and there's one shot alone. There's like every single shot in the film is like that. The cinematography really brings this film to life and makes the film feel tangible as well. It almost feels like you can touch the sets in this movie. It almost feels like you can smell the spaceship that Ryan Gosling is in. It almost feels like you can touch Rocky, the alien is in this film. This fantastic character that's essentially a bit of rock put together, but you just feel so much love for that character as well. I mean, there's so much that I admire about this film. There's so much that I love about it. The musical score by Daniel Pemberton, which is like heart-pounding. It adds to the really engrossing, experiential nature of the film. The musical score is quite amazing. It's technically brilliant, but it also grabs you emotionally like any good musical score should do. It's all well and good, your musical score being technically brilliant, but it's got to capture you emotionally as well. It's got to do the job that the film's story trying to do as well, and it just, it marries up with the narrative and the visuals just so brilliantly. Everything comes together in pretty much every way you want from this film. It's one of those movies that is so special, and I mean that in the best way possible, and one of those films that don't come along that often. As for criticisms, I have a couple of nitpicks here and there, but my biggest criticism is, honestly, I think this film could have been a bit longer. It's about 2 hours and 35 minutes. And that's not a short run time in the slightest, no. And it flies by at that length, by the way. It doesn't feel like 2 hours and 35 minutes. But actually, I think it could have been a little bit longer, because there's a few pivotal scenes in the film where if you had a bit more breathing space, we could have existed in this moment more and then felt the turn there. You know what I mean? We could have felt how important it was with the narrative twist there, with the different direction the narrative is taking. I think some of the pivotal scenes we could have had more space around, I think the film could have had a little bit more breathing space, is basically what I'm saying. I think it would have been 10 minutes longer, and actually, I think some of those scenes could have been even better. Some of those pivotal scenes could have been even better than they were. I mean, they're good, but they could have been, amazing. And there's a couple moments where I was like, oh, it feels like you're rushing ever so slightly because there's so much to cover in this film, But that's kind of my... that's it. That's my biggest criticism. I really can't think of anything else huge that I came away from the film thinking that didn't work. There wasn't anything that really was nagging me whilst I was watching the film. No, I mean, yeah, I didn't understand all the science stuff, but the thing is, I'm undoubtedly, yeah, in fact, I will almost definitely, unless something comes up that I can't get out of, I will almost definitely, within the next couple of weeks, go and watch this film again. And so, I will hopefully understand all the science stuff a bit more there, but that also didn't really matter so much because, again, at the end of the day, a film like this wants to grab you emotionally, it wants to entertain you, it wants to make you smile, it wants to make you laugh, it wants to make you even maybe cry a bit. And this film kind of did all that. I mean, I didn't cry, but I don't cry at most movies. That's not me trying to sound manly there, I'm just being honest. I don't cry when it comes to movies for the most part, but I did get a little choked up and my heart did break, and I think the way the film wants me to feel, you know what I mean? Like, this film, it's got a bit of everything in there. It's got what you want from, it's got a bit of everything you want from this film, and that central relationship, at the end of the day, that central relationship is really what makes this film work. That central relationship between Ryan Gosling's character Grace and Rocky, you know? The way that relationship is done between Grace and Rocky is quite beautiful, and I mean that just, again, in the best way possible. This is a special kind of film. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's quite a masterpiece yet, because I think the word masterpiece is thrown around willy-nilly, especially particularly with movie reviews, but maybe on a rewatch I'll call it a masterpiece, because I didn't feel The Martian was a masterpiece the first time I saw it. And by the way, this film, it very much evoked the feeling I had watching The Martian. And yeah, when I watched The Martian for the first time, I love The Martian, by the way. When I watched it for the first time, I didn't think it was a masterpiece, and I've now seen that film about 10 times. I love it, and I do think it is a masterpiece. So I'm hoping I'm going to feel the same with Project Hail Mary the more I watch it. And again, I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch it in the cinema over the next couple of weeks, you know? And I can't wait to do so. Yeah. I loved it. I'm so happy that I did, you know? Loved Project Hail Mary. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Project Hail Mary, I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I'm giving it that rating because I think it could have been a bit longer. That's pretty much my only criticism. I think it kind of needed a little bit more breathing space, but that was about it. One last thing I want to mention is the film's got a bunch of needle drops in them. It's got a great score by Daniel Pemberton. It's also got a great soundtrack. You know, it's got some great needle drops of famous songs. And one needle drop I loved was from a Beatles song. I'm not going to give away what Beatles song, in case you're a fellow Beatles fan like me, and you don't want to know what Beatles song is used in this film, but there was a Beatles song that was used, and it's not even one of my favourite Beatles songs, but it was used, and I was like, perfect needle drop. Perfect. You could not think of a better needle drop in that moment in the film. You know exactly what I mean when it comes on in the movie. Even if you don't recognise the song though, like, the needle drop will still be perfect. The needle drops are so well done in this film. They don't just come out of nowhere. No, all the needle drops fit perfectly with the story that's being told, with what's happening in the film. And yeah, the film itself, I mean, it's got a bit of everything in there, you know? It's got comedy, which is actually funny. It's a well-paced movie, which is one thing I've mentioned. It's structured quite interestingly. I'm not going to give that away, what I mean there, but if you've seen the film, you know what I mean. It's not your typical linear narrative structure. It's structured very interestingly. It's got great characters, great supporting characters that I haven't spoken about. One played by Sandra Hüller, who has a fantastic, what's it called? Karaoke. It's got a fantastic karaoke scene where she sings Sign of the Times in this film, and there's so many scenes which just grab you emotionally. I mean, the whole film grabs you emotionally. Whether it's in its narrative, its directing, it's the way it looks, the visually spectacular look of the film, all the musical score, and all the characters. You know, there's so much about this film that just grabs you emotionally, doesn't let go. And again, gives you all the feels. And it's one of those films, right, that just reminds you of how good cinema can be. And it makes you feel good as well. It's a properly feel-good film. Sometimes I hate when people use that phrase, but no, this is a proper feel-good movie, and it'll make you leave the cinema with a smile. And at the end of the day, I think that's what everybody needs right now. You know, particularly me. I've got stuff going on in my personal life, and coming out the cinema with a smile on my face was exactly what I needed. So yes, I loved Project Hail Mary, and I could talk more about why I love it if I went on even longer, but I'm going to stop rambling and just say once more that I thought Project Hail Mary was absolutely brilliant. And I can't wait to rewatch it because I think I'm going to love it even more. So there's that. Yeah. All in all, as what I said, and I'm going to say once more in this video today, Project Hail Mary is a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. If you have seen Project Hail Mary, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching the video today. And if you haven't yet, please click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more videos coming very, very soon on this channel. As I've already said, thank you for watching the video today. And yeah, I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.